Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Self Care Sunday. I'm Elisa Maria. Welcome back if you're back, and welcome if you are new. I am back this time around with the guy that started it all, Bud the tabby cat, my little Buddha. And after some discussion, I've changed his name to Foofy, as you all well know. Foofy here. It was so interesting yesterday when I was working on this canvas that I had not worked on in a while. I think maybe even, ooh, gosh, last summer. I don't know. I have to look. But Fufi was obsessed with this canvas. It was the funniest thing. He wanted to knock everything off. He just wanted to stare at this canvas. And, I can just stare at Fufi and wonder what he is thinking at any time. He's so funny and he's so cute, as you all know. Foofy needs his own channel. So this actual canvas, by the way, is Bud the Tabby Cat by the Diamond Art Club, and I was really in the mood to do a Diamond Art Club canvas after doing a walk through my art room. And thank you for everyone that watched that little video on my art room. That's a work in progress, like we all are. And yeah, so I pulled him out. He's so colorful. He's so it's so interesting as you taper off these little blocks to do, and each one is like a little mosaic. So it's really pretty. But we are on the last week I read you the introduction to The Listening Path, which is a book by Julia Cameron, and it is based on The Artist Way, which is a 12-week program. The Listening Path kind of boils it down to a 6-week program, and The Listening Path is the creative art of attention. And we read the introduction, which basically laid out the ground rules of the artist way, the basic tools, the morning pages, 3 pages in stream of consciousness writing. What is that? That is where you just sit down with pen and paper in your hand. Doesn't matter. It could be a notebook. I use a composition book. It could be a piece of paper. It could be a napkin. But you're going to write 3 long hand pages. What is longhand? It means you don't abbreviate. It means you don't say can't, you say cannot. Why do you do that? Well, you do that because you are going to slow your mind down. How does that happen? Well, that happens by, you know, writing whatever is coming to you when you put a piece of paper in front of you and you put a pen in your hand and you just start writing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to make sense. Your sentences don't make sense. They don't. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But you just write, and you write in longhand, no abbreviations, 3 pages, front and back. And I guarantee you, by the time you get to the bottom part of your first page, maybe as you're turning over the second page, maybe you're still rapidly writing because you're trying to catch every thought. Oh, I had a dream last night. I can't remember what it was. What day is it? What, I did that all last week. What day is it? I was one day behind all last week. What was that dream about? Oh, forget about it. I have to go to Aldi's. What do I need? And you're just writing whatever is popping, these little clouds, these little thought clouds. You're just writing whatever is popping into your head. And then the second tool. Okay, so let me just tell you, you're going to start to slow down. After you burst all those thought bubbles, you're going to start to slow down. And you're going to start writing things that maybe are a little bit more meaningful, and you're going to slow down, and your hand's going to slow down, and you're going to start to make connections to what everything is. So when you're writing down all those thought bubbles, you're consciously writing what is on your mind. And when you're getting a little bit deeper underneath all that, what is going on underneath all that? It's bringing the unconscious conscious. What is going on in your unconscious mind? I had an episode like that this week that I believe I told you all about. It had to do with the tagline to this channel, and it just popped out of my mouth one day. Create the world that you want to live in. And I was talking about it with my husband John, and he said, "Well, you know where you got that from, right?" And I'm like, no, I got it from me. It popped out of my head. He said, no, it didn't. It comes from the first book I ever read to you. Now, when I was dating my husband, John, he's an avid reader. He said, I want to read to you a book from my childhood, and it stayed with me my whole life. And it was called Of Missing Persons. I'm sorry, but the author's name is just not popping up right now. Too many things are shooting off in my brain right now. Of Missing Persons. I'm trying to remember. It's right there. But it had to do with a man that was just disgruntled with his life, and he gets a golden ticket on a train ride to the world that he would like to live in, creating the world that he wants to live in. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Jack Finney. Jack Finney is the author, I believe. Finley? Okay, I'm trying. So I was like, wow, that was buried deep in my unconscious mind. Now, me and my husband are married, coming on 3 years. So maybe this is like 4.5 years ago that he read this book to me. It's a beautiful book. I mean, it's a wonderful. At 8 years old, he was reading this book, and I can't wait for him to start his YouTube channel. And maybe along with philosophy, he'll talk about all the books that have changed his life that he reads over and over again. And I so understand that, but I don't have the type of library that he has. I have one or two that have touched my life that I read over and over again. So you're getting down underneath um, your conscious mind to your unconscious mind. It reminds me also of my yin practice. I'm a yin yoga teacher, and what do we do in yin? Well, we everything is done on the floor. Everything is done in a seated or laying down position, but you're holding a posture until the body unwinds itself and you get down underneath the muscle into the connective tissue where all the juicy stuff is. So that's tool one of the Artist Way, your morning pages. And the second tool that we went through was the artist date. So you make plans to take you and only you on an artist date. Why you and only you? Well, you're going to fill that well, okay? Everything that you look, see, taste, touch, smell is going to enter into that unconscious mind. And I've had this happen so many times when I just sit and draw and I just let my hand go. I don't know what I'm drawing. I don't know what's going to fall out of my pen. But ultimately, it is something that I've seen along the way and I go, oh, I know what that is. And so that's why you take yourself on a date. You don't want to be entertaining anyone else. You don't want to be worried, oh, they're having a good time. You don't want to be answering any questions. You take yourself on a date. What kind of date can you take yourself on? Take a walk. That's my favorite artist date. It could be the same artist date over and over again. I take a walk. I walk down a neighborhood I've never been down before, or a street maybe I've been down multiple times, but I decide that I'm going to look for what catches my eye and snap a picture of it. Now, maybe it's not that interesting when I snap it, but when I go home and I edit and I play with my camera software that I have, all those apps, and I maybe crop this or expand that, I have a really, really good time, and a lot of pictures sometimes show up in my graphics here on this channel when I have to make a graphic for YouTube, like a cover. So that's why you take yourself out on an artist date. You are looking to fill the well. You can go to the dollar store. That's another thing that I do. I go to the dollar store. I allow myself $5 to go and pick up whatever it is that catches my eye and challenge myself. What can I do with these 5 things that I bought? Or maybe go with something specific in mind. I went to the dollar store this week and I did a dollar store finds for you all, and I got a over the door hanger and I got some clips, and I hung my very long muka. If you've ever done a muka canvas, you know it's very long. It's a long panel, probably almost as long as your front door. So I hung that over my door and I put some clips on it. And every night when I'm done, I hang that up, and it hangs beautifully on my front door, and it blows in the breeze sometimes, and I see all the ABs sparkling. So that's what you do on an artist date. You can go to a restaurant, you can go to the movies by yourself, you can go to a museum by yourself. It doesn't really have to cost you any money. You can just go on a walk. And the third artist date, the third artist tool is exactly that, a walk. And you go for a walk for about 20 minutes. And this is a tool that my grandmother, as those of you that know me know, would give to me because I was a very introspective child, quiet. It wasn't always when I wanted to talk to her about something that she set me out for, I should go for a walk. But also when something was bothering me, go for a walk. Your body has to move. You have to keep this body in motion. And so you go for a walk and you just let your mind wander and you take in all the sights and sounds. And maybe you let, like I have done, I did for my teacher training a 5-hour meditation practice. And part of it was a walking meditation where you used listening to guide the path that you walked on during your walking meditation. And I've done this. I've heard wind chimes in the background, and I went to go track them down where they were coming from. And it was on a street that I had walked down so many times, but I never looked up. And when I looked up, I saw the sweetest little deck. It was probably part of the building, not something that that maybe a new owner built, because it was on the side of I live in Philadelphia, and every home is like a row home, but this was separated by an alley, and there was a deck, and it was the sweetest little deck with this old-fashioned awning and plants hanging and old-fashioned beach chairs, sun chairs, and a little what were they called, formica tables, and these sweet little bells. And for as many times as I walked down that street, because I'm not listening, I never noticed this very cute little patio outside on the third floor of an old Philadelphia house. So that's what we went through last week. And this week, we're going to get into what is the soundtrack of your life. Julia places these quotes on each page from different authors or songwriters or directors, creative people on each page of her book. And the first quote is in the lower right-hand corner. Pay attention to the intricate patterns of your existence that you take for granted, by Doug Dillon. The first step on the listening path is to listen to what we may be in the habit of tuning out, the world around us. This week, you will be asked to tune into your environment. We will explore the sounds that surround us, those we enjoy and those we avoid. We will practice tuning in so that we may connect to our world and to our relationship with that world. So what is the soundtrack of your life? What are you listening to right now while you listen to me? Are you sitting quietly and just listening to this as a podcast? Are you sitting in your little work area, your little craft room, diamond painting? Are you trying to tune out what is going on in your background? Maybe your family is home, maybe the kids are rowdy, and you're just trying to tune out. What is the soundtrack of your life? The listening path tunes us into our surroundings. Its first tool focuses on what we hear around us. We take time to notice our sonic environment. Is it soothing or abrasive, loud or soft? As we tune into the sounds around us, we take notice of what it is we'd like to change. We are creatures of habit, and we become habituated to some very unpleasant things. Our alarm clock may shrill for our attention. A little shopping trip would yield us a clock with a pleasant chime, but we tell ourselves that our harsh clock is no big deal, and so our days begin on a discordant note. Ditto for our microwave. It beeps ready, and it beeps too is discordant. No big deal, we tell ourselves, if we notice the sound at all, and so on through our day. Here we are, but we do not hear. It is no mere pun to say we yearn for lives that are more sound. Our daily soundtrack can be consciously altered. The expenditure of cash for a lovely sounding alarm pays off handsomely as we wake to a more pleasant world. Listening is receptivity. Natalie Goldberg. Sound by sound, we can move through our day, asking always, is this sound pleasant? An astonishingly high percentage of our answers are no. Working to change no to yes, we find ourselves relaxing. The ceiling fan makes an annoying tick, tick, tick that makes it difficult to hear on the phone. A trip to the hardware store for WD-40 is indicated. It's time for procrastination to end. The lubricant is not expensive. Oiling the fan puts an end to the ticking. A gentle whirl replaces the annoyance. Now it's easy to hear on the phone. My friend Jennifer Bassey's pleasant voice comes through loud and clear. You fixed that fan, she announces. A stray scrap of paper flutters in the car's air conditioning. It's been there a long time, and you have learned to tune it out. Focus now. You tweeze the paper from the breeze. The car is suddenly more pleasant. The engine hums steadily without the erratic fluttering you've grown accustomed to. What's this? As your car pulls out of the driveway, your ears pick up the sound of laughter. The neighbors' children are shooting baskets in their driveway. You can hear the clunk of the ball as they dribble. You can almost hear the whoosh sound of the ball as it passes through the net. Above all, their joyous laughter signals that fun is at hand. Your spirits lift with theirs. The sound of joy or the sound of sorrow calls us to respond in kind. We hear a child sobbing, and we are moved to compassion. A child's giggle moves us to joy. Although we are seldom aware of it, a soundtrack accompanies our daily sounds. Driving to work, we are annoyed by the honking of an impatient driver. Easy does it, we may think to ourselves, consciously tuning in instead of tuning out. At lunch, gently attuned to the sounds around us, we may perk our ears to the sound of cathedral bells marking the hour. They chime again as we are leaving the office, having worked late. Once at home, we may cue up our favorite album, relaxing to the sound of Native American flute music. We purposely choose it for its gentle and hypnotic melodies. My perennial favorite is an album called The Yearning by composer Michael Hoppe, Hoppe. It features the virtuoso alto flute of Tim Weeder. Gentle sounds make for gentle lives. As our kindly sounds soothe our psyches, we become more kindly. Rather than acting abruptly, as harsh staccato sounds seem to demand, we respond rather than react, and we respond tenderly. As we take in the music environment that speaks to our heart, we are able to forge more heartfelt lives. As we soften the tone of our lives, we soften the responses to the world around us. No harsh and staccato, our lives become gentler. An evening spent at home can be made far less lonely with the addition of a pleasant soundtrack. Music soothes the savage beast, and it soothes us well. A favorite selection changes the quality of our life. Our mood loses its jagged edge. Sound healing is the specialty of the late Don Campbell. His book, The Roar of Silence, is a classic in the field. His later book, The Mozart Effect, argues persuasively that music impacts not only our mood, but also our IQ. Children exposed to Mozart are happier and brighter, he possesses. A sampling of Mozart also makes for better-tempered adults, he asserts. As John Barlow states, take seriously the idea that music can represent emotional states. Liberate your body in this world and save your soul in the next. It's a beautiful symphony, the sound of a typewriter, keys on the paper. A quote by Avijit Das. Music lifts us to higher realms. Musicologists tell us that music is our highest art form, drawing listeners closer to God. Undeniably, listening to certain music is a spiritual experience. Handel's Messiah lifts the listener into sacred realms, delivering a spiritual experience as well as an aesthetic one. On the listening path, music is an indispensable ally. As we become conscious of its far reaching effects, we can program our listening delight. Becoming alert to the impact of sound, we can choose music to alter our mood. Drum music is a journey music, and it opens a doorway to the divine. Mickey Hart and Tarot give us music to be born by. It's propulsive, energizing, and grounding. Flute music is a companion to our loneliness. David Darling and the Native Flute Ensemble gift us with Ritual Mesa, a haunting collection of heartfelt melodies. The full swelling of an orchestra invites an upsurge in our own emotions. Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 and the Fidelio Overture wax exultant. The cleverness of Bach's Goldberg variation wakes up our mind. As we listen, we learn. She said the music made her wonder, does it alter us more to be heard or to hear? Madeline Thiem. Listening, really listening, casts us into the present moment. We become mindful of each note as it unfurls. Spiritual teachers unite on the importance of staying in the now. Revered Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh writes eloquently of the many benefits of staying focused on each moment as it arises. He uses the Buddhist term mindfulness, although I might suggest heartfeltness. When we listen to each moment as it unfolds, we find ourselves listening to our heart. We listen without and we listen within. Thich Nhat Hanh gives the example of sipping a cup of tea, mindful of its goodness. But it is our heart that experiences gratitude. The tea is good and we feel good drinking it. We are in the moment. Too many of us live our lives pell-mell. We rush from event to event. We feel that velocity is our friend, but is it? When we slow our pace, we find our lives unfolding at a comprehensible rhythm. We hear ourselves think. The listening path demands we pay attention. We must listen to the sound of our lives. If we are to live sound lives. Stop and listen. The story is everywhere. A quote by Thomas Lloyd Quarles. So here is something that Julia suggests to try. For one day, keep a log of your soundtrack. Begin with the buzz of your alarm clock. Ask yourself, is this sound pleasant or abrasive? Now, I wake up with a musician and with music very loud and abrasive. I'm the yin to John's yang, and I had asked him, honey, can you lower the alarm clock or maybe switch it to another station to get up to? He's like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that. Boy, this alarm clock is loud. Okay, so ask yourself when your alarm clock goes off, does this sound pleasant or abrasive? Keep this thought in mind as the timer beeps on your coffee, as your microwave signals that your breakfast bowl of oatmeal is ready. Note the clatter of the subway as you head to work. If you drive, pay attention to the honking horns. Ask yourself, could I take a different, less hurried route? Notice the hubbub of the diner where you routinely eat lunch. Is there a quieter alternative? Continue through your day, noting sounds and your reactions to them. At the day's end, jot down your discoveries. What changes could you make to your auditory experience more pleasant? Be gentle on yourself. Treat your ears with loving care. So, I have to say that I read this, what I just read to you, maybe about 3 times this week, and I've been very aware of the sounds around me that I am just tuning out. Now, usually when I begin a video, I do an introduction and hello and what's been going on. And when I filmed that, I had drowned out the air filter that we have, the air purifier that we have in our home in the background. And when I went to listen to this, I went to edit this video, the sound was so loud. I'm like, how did I tune that out? And the rest of the evening, I was hyper aware of the air filter on, and it just annoyed me the rest of the evening. And I said, John, we have to move this in another room. And he's like, it's so loud, that humming. I'm like, it ruined the whole beginning of my video. But I gotta tell you, I don't know, maybe it was a blessing, because I kind of like that I just jumped into diamond painting here with you all. I kind of like that the focus as you began this video was Foofy here, actually Bud, but Foofy here as I diamond paint. And so maybe you carry something in your, I don't know, like a little notebook. They make those little notebooks where you can track what you hear, what you are tuning out, and maybe you too will be surprised at what you find. And Julia goes into, what if you can't control the sounds around you? A lot of her students ask her that. What if I learn to tune them out of necessity? Tuning our sonic environment out puts us in the habit of detaching instead of connecting. And I would argue that tuning out take more effort than tuning in. We can explore our solutions. Tuning in puts into the position of awareness. And from awareness, we can create change, or we can try. And her case in point was that she has a Westie, and Westies are barkers. And, she can't control her little Westie, Lily. And, she opts not to let her out after a certain time, because she will bark and wake the neighbors. I believe that Julia lives in a very, secluded area. I can't remember where, out in Arizona, I believe. And, the dog gets frustrated, but she's had to change the dog's schedule. She's had to learn to teach the dog, one-word commands like hush, bedtime, treat, to have some peace. I'm sure she's working all the time. I know that Julia also composes music. She writes poetry. She writes books on prayers. So I can only imagine, living a solitary life with your dog that's making a racket. Adapt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. A quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm going through, what she is teaching her dog to do, just different, one-word commands. But I really want to get into, before this video ends, what to do. I guess this is what this quote, I guess what this try this is, something else that Julia had wrote to try this. Quickly jot down 3 sounds in your environment that you can't control. Tune into each of the sounds. Do they make you frustrated, anxious, nervous? Is there anything you could do to try to change these sounds? If not, could you avoid them? Allow yourself to consider the possibilities beyond tuning them out, and see if you don't find yourself feeling more empowered and more free. So I will review that again next Sunday. Maybe I will go through how she deals with Lily, but this video is coming to an end, and I really just, love this canvas, and I'm loving this book, and I'm loving reading it again and becoming reacquainted with it, and really tuning in to my environment, especially living in the city. And here's a tip, and I gave you guys this tip a long time ago when I was living in New York City. Nothing stops in New York City. And, for a person like me that's very introspective and I like my quiet time, it's pretty hard, to find that quiet. And what I would do, I was living across the street. I was living on Sullivan Street, Sullivan and West Houston, where the famous St. Anthony's Church is. In fact, the statue of St. Anthony shone through my apartment window. And, St. Anthony finds things for lost souls. And I was looking for peace. And I kind of heard him say, come into the church. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me go run across the street and go in the church. And that's what I would do. When I needed to get away from the world, I would run into St. Anthony's Church and I would just sit there and breathe and relax my shoulders, and I would, oh my God, just take in the quiet, write, pray. And then I would open the doors and hear the hustle bustle of New York, and I would close them again and go back in. 14 colors in that little tiny, I wonder how big that is anyway. Let's see what we did here today. We did a 4 centimeter by 10 or maybe 1.5 inches by 3.5. Enjoy the day. I hope that you enjoyed the listening path as much as I liked reading it and sharing whatever insights I may have shared. I'm about to do that now. And I will see you, as always, in the next one. Create the world that you want to live in and create your day. Create a beautiful one. See you in the next one. Bye.